Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy Show. We're down here in Boca Raton. Spotify, Apple, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. We're all over the place. I gotta discuss my bet with Govy. Last night was the big debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We had a $10,000 bet. I said that Donald Trump will show up and Joe Biden wouldn't. Well, guess what? Joe Biden did show up. We had a $5,000 modification to the bet that I wouldn't owe $10,000 if I would only owe $5,000 if Joe Biden left the debate early. I kind of sort of think he did leave the debate. He left the debate after a minute and a half, but I guess that doesn't count. So I owe Govy $10,000. Here's my check, Govy.
Thank you.
Hang on to it, pal, for about a week before I can make it good, okay?
You know, it's a shame that we didn't really put, restrictions, on it, to know when the actual, who was going to win the debate. He literally lost the debate when he walked into the debate room and he greeted the audience that there wasn't anybody there. He said hello, and then once he did that, he was off script. So for 7 days he practiced. 7 days he practiced the answers. It's like someone getting.
Do you think he had the questions?
I think they gave him the answers. So it's like when you have the answers, you still got to match it up to the questions. So so if I gave you 20 true false questions, but you were off by the first question, you could get a lot wrong because, you're off by one. So I think they gave him some multiple choice answers and he was off by one and he was out of place.
Well, anyway, let's talk. Let's get into it. You have my $10,000.
I
want another bet. We're going to make another bet if you're willing to do it. The next bet will be Donald Trump's July 11th sentencing. What's his sentence? I say he gets 6 months house arrest. He will not be on the campaign trail. They're going to put him to the side.
I can't take your money. That's like stealing. That would be like stealing. I mean, you would want. So what you're basically saying is,
I'm saying Judge Merchan sentences Donald Trump to 6 months house arrest, and they may say house is Mar-a-Lago.
So you're saying there's a revolution in the United States now.
A revolution.
So they already are saying that all this stuff that he's doing, basically with lawfare that's taking place now after the debate. Now they have to turn it up even more. So now they have to say, okay, that didn't work. Let's get rid of Donald Trump.
Do you want the bet or not?
I don't want to take your money, but I'll take that bet if you want to.
Okay,
but I'll give you if you want to be fair.
You'll give me odds?
No, I'll give you fair. I say that he doesn't make the September debate. Now I'll take your side. Remember, you said
I'm not going to bet that because I agree with you. He's not. There's no September debate. I didn't think there was.
He said today he's coming for the debate. I say that he's not.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet you that July 11th, Judge Merchan, because Donald Trump's going to be so far ahead, and they don't know what to do. They need to sideline the guy. They're going to put him They can't put him in jail, but they're going to give him a house arrest for 6 months, which means you can't leave your house. And then the press will frame it. Oh my God, he lives in a 100,000 square foot house, Mar-a-Lago. It's not even a penalty. He's got tennis courts, he's got the beach, he's got a spa, he has a pool, blah, 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 blah.
The reason why that won't happen is because after this debate, they had, they polled all these people that were independents, and they asked them how they felt. The majority of the independents feel that Donald Trump wouldn't have been even indicted if it wasn't for his name and that he's running.
Right.
So now they understand the poll numbers. They know that by putting him in jail is going against his polls. They know they have to let up the pressure.
Do you want the bet or not? I understand your thing. Okay, we got a new bet.
I'll take it.
All right, so let's hit a couple things because we could spend the whole show on the debate, which I do want. There's a lot of funny stuff we could talk about.
So you want to talk about something before the debate?
Yeah. Let's talk about like Bronny James, like the NBA draft. I mean, Bronny James for foundation is LeBron James, who's 39 years old. His son, who was just drafted to the NBA. Now, Govy can tell you a lot better than I. The kid's not qualified to be in the NBA.
Right. So he was a second-round draft pick.
Crazy.
At the end of the second round, they basically, his agent, Rich Paul, basically held the
Who
Lakers.
lives with Adele?
Right, and held the president of the Los Angeles Lakers, Rob Pelinka, hostage, and basically said that LeBron, who is a free agent right now, he could sign anywhere, said, we need you to have, LeBron wants to play one more year. You're going to give him $39 million. Maybe he'll take a little discount. Maybe it'll be $37 million.
But they lose a pick. They lose
a second-round pick. Doesn't mean anything. First-round picks don't mean anything. So I think that what's going to happen is that Bronny's going to play one game, 2 games. He'll be on the bench. He'll be inactive, because you can carry some of the people. And it'll be a 1-year type of thing, and that's it. But meanwhile, it's going to mess up the Los Angeles Lakers going forward, because afterwards, LeBron it will be done in 1 or 2 years. What I really would have liked to have seen is Leon Rose and maybe World Wide West, with the pick before the Los Angeles Lakers, drafting Bronny James and forcing LeBron to have to play for the Knicks for 1 year, because he would have gone to the Knicks.
Would they have done that? They would have wasted a pick?
They have so many picks and so many second rounders, it doesn't mean anything. Right. But as a courtesy, because Rich Paul went up to every team in the league and basically said, as a courtesy to me, hands off, let him go to the Lakers. Otherwise, some other team could have done it. So it was all put together, basically, that he's going to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. The problem really is he's not that good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people, by the way, that were undrafted.
But don't you think, though, that people will go to the games to see LeBron play with his son? I mean, that's pretty exciting, father-son. And LeBron maybe will, I'm sure they're going to block for him, or offensively they'll do some tricks to get the guy involved in the game.
I think one of the crazy stories of the whole NBA draft that came out is the center for Duke University. Michael, if you could pull up the center's name for Duke University, it's Filipowski or something like that. And he was drafted in the second pick, third pick in the second round, and his story is.
Wait, let's see what his fiance looks like.
It's his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And the deal with his girlfriend is it was his babysitter when he was like 8 years old, 9 years old, and she's older than him. Then started to manipulate him. Then made him write a letter disowning his parents.
Is she that tall?
Yeah, and she had.
Wow.
So he wrote a letter to say that he basically disowned his parents.
Nice.
And so there was only one, and she's a Mormon.
And she's a Mormon. She's a tricky Mormon.
So all the teams stayed away except for one team. What team do you think drafted him?
Oh, I don't know.
The Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I was going to say Utah.
So the Utah Jazz drafted him because they didn't. A lot of
She's good looking.
Yeah, a lot of NBA teams stayed away from him because she is a control freak. And you know what happened? She went and babysat him when he was 10 years old, and he got his first rub and tug.
At 10?
At 10. And he was in love.
How much older is she than him?
I think 7 years, something like that. But when you're 10 and 17, he was in love right away.
She made a good move. Well, anyway, Govy, the other thing I wanted to talk about before this debate was I just tore it out of the New York Post today. Walgreens, which is one of the biggest pharmacies in the nation, 8,000 stores. They're going to close 2,000 stores. I mean, because the recession is really, or whatever we're called, inflation, recession, Bidenomics, theft. It's really starting to hit home. 25% of all the Walgreens are closing, which means CVS and Rite Aid. Well, Rite Aid's already bankrupt. It can't be too far behind. But, as I said before, when I was up in Philadelphia, it was insane. It's impossible to shop in these stores. I don't know how they do volume because everything, deodorant, soap, is behind a case. You have to push a buzzer. You got to wait for some idiot to come over, unlock the case, and get you what you want. And then who's to say I can't get what I want? She didn't ask me for identification to run out of the store with it.
As running a business, your overhead, you have to take into how many salespeople you need.
Right.
But the problem with some of these drugstores is they have a choice to take. Either get an extra person to work the store to wait on you so you get faster service, prompt service to make your visit more enjoyable, or hire a security guard that can't help you at all, stands there, and all he does is prevent maybe someone from shoplifting, but can't even guarantee that. They're going with the security guard. So now that's one less
right.
It's one less person to take care of you. So now you're standing there looking at a plexiglass shield, getting your toothpaste until eventually I think the mom and pop stores are going to come back. Remember the old mom and pop?
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to...
Like the bodega or whatever it was called. The guy with the
milkshake,
knife.
little hot dogs.
Yeah.
But bring back an old-time drugstore that, you can get some...
Well, I don't even know how they finance all the prescriptions. I mean, the CVS that I go to down here, they have to have thousands of prescriptions of pills waiting for people to pick up. How's a mom and pop buy all those pills and wait to get reimbursed by insurance? I mean, it would be difficult.
No, because to an insurance company, a mom and pop place that pays their bills immediately... I guarantee you Walgreens and CVS aren't paying like they have terms. I think you take care of your little... They're paying on the spot. And they might even be paying more. They probably are paying more.
Well, anyway, Gabby, last night we had the debate. So, unfortunately, since I have the floor, since I spent $10,000 for this floor, I'll go first.
Okay.
I didn't think Joe Biden was going to show up. And I have two comments. You're the expert. I'll let you talk about it. But my first comment is, I think Jill Biden, after watching that debate, and I watched the after party on CNN. I did not go to Fox, figuring I'm going to hear these guys spin how great Joe Biden was. CNN trashed him. That Van Jones... I mean, right off the get-go, they trashed the guy and said it was the worst night of his life. So we have been talking of his cognitive disabilities for the last year. And my dad, who just passed away at 94, had the same Parkinson's disease that Joe Biden does. And 2 years ago, only 2 years ago, he looked exactly the way Joe Biden does today. So this is my comment. If I was Donald Trump and I was giving my closing statement, I would have simply said, folks, you just saw this man for an hour and a half. Let's see what he looks like. You're voting for him to re-up his contract for 4 more years. Do you think this guy can go 4 more years based upon his performance tonight? Forget about the issues. Is this man going to be around in 4 years to have the hardest job in the world to run this country? My answer to you folks is no. The second comment, and then you can take it away. Mm-hmm. The second comment is Jill Biden, and I go on record here, you can put this on national news, is evil. She's stone cold evil. She's a bad, narcissistic woman. You got it right here from Cutty, from the Cutty and Govy show. We're all over Spotify, YouTube. We saw what my dad went through. We saw his cognitive difficulties. She's living with this guy. Hunter Biden's not going to help this guy out. His wife is. And for her to put him up to run for president of the United States again is unconscionable. And he's broke. You showed me an article last week where he refinanced his Delaware home 30 times in the last couple of years. 30 times he refinanced it to raise money. Well, he still has a little left in him. Why doesn't he quit the job after 4 years and go give speeches for $500,000 a speech and put some money in the bank for his family? I don't understand why he's not doing that. Those are my two comments, Govy. You have it. Well, I just think this Jill Biden, she's stone cold evil. She wants the power.
She's the power person.
Yeah.
She doesn't,
She could be running the country.
She's fairly young, so she feels like, once you...
What's fairly young?
In her 70s.
Okay.
So I look at it that, like once you fly privately, it's hard to fly first class. Once you fly first class, it's hard to fly coach. She doesn't want to go back to that lifestyle. Don't forget, she was vice president for 8 years. Then 4 years, it goes by really quickly.
Public housing for the last 12 years.
Right. 4 years, while they were off, they were able to, travel, do certain things.
Yeah, and he made some money.
Made some money doing things, taking care of, what you had to do, and now you're right back in it again. I think that Joe Biden showed the world. I think that... I think when they talk about lying, they will talk about who lied and this and that.
But that's...
I think the biggest lie of the entire evening is that mainstream media lied to the United States American people. That Joe Biden runs laps around the White House, that this guy has more energy than anybody. The guy talks to world leaders and he's tough on them. The world now knows that is a lie. That's the biggest lie.
Well, that Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, that African-American girl with the orange hair, she basically is committing malpractice. I mean, she meets with the guy every day, and she goes in front of the press every single day and says, this guy's a genius. He's unbelievable.
That's the biggest lie. So now that was exposed. And the problem is he did a rally today in North Carolina where he was much better. But what they're not telling you, the reason why it was much better is they wrote in some jokes for him and some bullet points. He can still read out of a teleprompter. But a debate is the first time there was no teleprompter. He has to think on his feet. He has to respond, and the guy doesn't have it. So no matter what, the next debate, he practiced 7 days for this thing. So he doesn't have...
He's got the nuclear codes, folks.
It's dangerous.
He has the nuclear codes, and he's unconscious.
He got exposed. The world leaders, by the way, they already knew.
Right.
But they watched last night, and they said to each other, she got on the phone with Putin. They were having popcorn. They said... Putin, are you watching this? He said, Chi, are you watching this? And then all of a sudden, Kim chimed in, and he said, I'm watching this. He said, so what are we going to do? And he goes, I think time is of the essence. Let's go. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if something happens this summer because Joe Biden cannot handle another fire. By the way, not to mention we do have fire season coming up out in the West, but we have ISIS coming across the southern border now. We got so much stuff going on. He's basically telling you the border's closed. By the way, they told us a long time ago, 3 years ago, the border is secure. That's a lie. So,
but a couple things about the debate I want to ask you. Number one, when they asked Donald Trump questions directly, he went back to the previous question to re-explain his answer.
I can explain that.
Yeah, so why doesn't he answer the question? For me as a consumer watching that, I was pissed off at Donald Trump.
I agree, but
that he wasn't answering the question.
I agree with you, but I'm going to explain to you the reason why.
Okay.
Because the rules of this debate where they made a mistake, during most debates, when someone says something and brings up a topic, like if Biden brought up something about Donald Trump generally gets a minute to respond to that question or that answer. In this case, if you notice, basically, Jake Tapper said, you will have your own time to respond on the next question. So when they ask Donald Trump a question on, tell me about Social Security, what will you do to keep Social Security? Donald Trump has to now use his time to answer the previous question that Joe Biden said.
But me as the consumer, I want to hear the Social Security.
Don't you want to hear him defend himself? If someone called you a liar, would you not take the opportunity to say, hey, that's not really true?
I think the closing statements for that. I mean, that's your wrap up. They have all these questions in advance. They know what they're going to be asked. Not the real questions, but they have an idea of Social Security, the border.
Donna Brazile gave Hillary Clinton the real questions last time.
But I'm saying I think he should just stick to the questions. If I'm advising Don,
it was frustrating because they asked one question 3 different times in 3 different times.
Well, I think he completely blew it. Let me have your opinion on will you say that will you agree whatever the results of the election are you willing to agree to it? He beat around the bush on it. Why not just say yes?
So 125 Americans last night sat in their house and they were saying, say yes. Say yes. I mean, we were all
say yes.
Say yes. We were all, and 3 times we were asking him to say yes. It wasn't that hard of a question. Just say yes, and he did.
If it's fair and whatever,
just say yes.
Just lie. You lied 20 other times.
Right,
lie.
Right.
Say yes.
No, the one time that you can lie that really would help you, like just say yes. What's the difference? Because it's not technically they can't say you're lying on that one.
Well, the big thing against Donald Trump is you're an insurrectionist. You're this. You're that. And he had last night one mission to prove that he was sane and normal and he would accept the results of an election. They asked him the question 3 or 4 times. I agree with him. 125 million Americans are on the edge of their chair.
We were all pulling for him. But you know, if you would look at some of our last week's reels, me and you had this thing where you said, "How's the questions going to go?" And if Joe Biden was dead in the water, he would say, January 6th.
Right.
You know, that would be abortion. And by the way, I thought Joe Biden kind of like, if you want to talk about hitting below the belt, sitting there saying that you had sex with a porn star and that you have been indicted 34 times, that you're like a crime wave happening. You're a one-man crime wave. It's a little... When technically the only reason why he has all this problem is because Joe Biden's Department of Justice.
So how would you have answered that? What would Govy's answer be on abortion, Roe versus Wade? I mean, how would you have answered it if you would?
I think what he did about the states is one thing, but I would have said it's important that each state is different. So people in Oklahoma can feel different about people in New York. I would say the people that live in New York, California, New Jersey, I would go Massachusetts, Illinois. You have nothing to worry about because your states.
Joe Biden said, if you win the Senate and the Congress, I mean, you're going to overturn everything on this abortion issue. I mean, how would you respond to that?
Well, he did say that he will not overturn the abortion pill thing that the Supreme Court just did, and I believe that that's over 60% of most abortions are given by this pill. I'm maybe even low on that number. As long as he's not doing that, that's a major step. And he also said you got to go with like your heart. You know, they tried to make like he's lying about the late term abortions. He was on point there. I think Joe Biden had no idea. I think like Joe Biden was denying that. Joe Biden doesn't know that part of the left side, is that you can have an abortion in the 8th and 9th month. I think someone has to tell Joe that that is true. Yeah,
I mean, there's a great roast with, I forget who they were roasting, but they were cutting up that guy Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live. He was on the panel. So Nikki Glazier's saying to him, you know why you have such great moves when you dance, Pete Davidson? And he says, why? He said, because you were dodging the coat hanger in your mother's womb.
That's very funny. That's very funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I forget what. I think they were roasting not Justin, Bieber. What's his name?
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, Justin Bieber. It was pretty funny. But anyway, so you know there were a couple issues. There were a couple things. But when you go back to the debate, I felt very uncomfortable as a consumer watching it when they kept saying you're a liar. Like, intellectually, it's not fair when they say to Joe Biden, when Joe Biden says to Trump, you lost more jobs than any president ever lost.
But he left out one little thing.
Yeah, what did he leave out?
COVID?
Yeah, the country was closed down.
And he was forced to close it down. He, by the way...
So why, it's so unfair.
Do you remember when he put down that nobody from China could come into our country?
Yeah.
Do you know what he was called? He was called, wasn't he called
a racist?
A xenophobe?
Yeah.
Like all this sort of stuff. So, I mean, this guy, they painted him where he can't win. Meanwhile, it was the Biden administration that kept the schools closed. By the way, the state of Florida, we were open down here. So that we're Republicans. So that's not true. We were open while all the other schools, they made those gyms and hair salons, they made them close. Schools were open here.
So another question, Govy, what you think of CNN? We talked about it on our podcast, and we said they're going to be completely unfair. I did, and I said they're going to ask unfair questions. I thought it was a pretty straight up fair thing.
They were. I think they knew because everybody's watching. It's also an opportunity for CNN, which, by the way, comes in third behind Fox, MSNBC. This is an unbelievable opportunity for them, with the viewership that they got last night, that they can get a lot of people from Fox to say, you know what?
Good point.
They were fair. You know what? I will turn them on. I will turn them in right now because you know what?
Yeah.
You know, I'll give them a chance to hear the other side. If you were just like MSNBC, it's like it's tough to even ever give them a chance. But now you really do say, you know what? I want to hear the other side. And they were fair. And thanks to you, after the debate, I turned on CNN. And they were as tough on Joe Biden as Fox was.
They were great.
I felt so emboldened and felt so good listening to CNN. I went for more. I turned on MSNBC.
Did you watch Morning Joe?
I watched Morning Joe. I said, very few times do I get an opportunity to watch MSNBC and be happy. So I did, and they were very fair. I mean, like, listening to them last night was like it was really a thrilling night.
What's your thing about when Joe Biden said I'm a 6 handicap? I mean, the guy can't walk up a flight of steps, walk down a stage.
You talk about fact checking. All that is making one computer check to the United States Golf Association's handicap. I could find out your handicap.
Right.
There's no way he's a 6 handicap. And then when he tells the guy, "I'll play you, but you got to carry your own bag." I mean, like. Seriously?
Yeah. Hey, Michael, do you have that clip I took of Trump hitting that ball? We have a clip of Trump hitting a ball, really tough lie on the side of a hill here. And let's see. Yeah, this is it. There it is. I was standing right there. I took
Look at this guy.
On the side of a hill, and he hit it about 200 yards up onto the green. I mean, it was
ball below your feet.
That's one of the toughest shots.
I know.
Look, below his feet. Yeah.
And by the way, I
can
give you one thing he didn't lie about. He was club champ twice in the seniors and in the regular division. Yeah. He beat 34-year-old kids.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, boy, those 34-year-old kids should be embarrassed. But in the meantime,
I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. I just want to speak from my heart.
Van Jones?
Yeah, this is Van Jones.
As a good man, he loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was
perfect.
Thanks,
Michael.
But do you think the rally today?
Thank you, Michael.
Do you think the rally today, where Joe Biden was on his game, changes these people's thoughts?
No, because he read from a teleprompter, and he has not talked in front of the press in 9 months.
He's got to do some press conferences.
So you don't get a teleprompter when the press asks you a question. So it really comes down to, can he stand on his feet and take a question that he's not prepared for? Not a teleprompter where it's a speech that's basically given, and he cannot do that.
Sure, he'll say something like he fixed Medicare or
no. When NBC gives him the questions, those days are over. And I do want to say one thing.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, and I do want to say one thing. When Trump had Jack Smith, the special prosecutor that's after him, Biden had his prosecutor in Agent Orr. And Agent Orr found him guilty, but they could not. They basically are not pressing any charges because he's too old and he's too frail to handle a court case. So they let it go. But they do have the audio. The Department of Justice will not release the audio, and they were saying there's nothing there. Well, I think the United States, the American people, are entitled to hear why the United States judicial system is not prosecuting him because of that audio. We should now get to hear the audio, just like last night you got to see him. And that audio is going to tell you that he's out to lunch, that he is not there. And I think that when you ask him questions now, if he doesn't have the answer, and someone from CBS News says, "Joe, I got to ask you a question about the border," he won't be able to handle it.
Well, don't you think it's a little intellectually dishonest that a guy who's president of the United States for 3.5 years needs to prep for 7 days for a debate?
How about
you're doing the job every day? What do you need to prep for?
Why are you entitled to get the questions if you have a sit-down interview with David Muir? Why does he have to submit his questions to you before the interview? I think that's not what it's about. It's about Donald Trump could sit there and talk to you. If he on the way to the helicopter, he'll stand there for an hour taking just off the cuff, taking every question. I think American people need to get back to asking the president a question off the cuff that it could be about a completely different subject and make like there's not a deer in the headlight.
But if they're asking him questions and he said his response is, well, when inflation is 1.5% instead of 9% at the low. I mean, when he lies over and over again with his answers, I mean, what's the point of even asking him questions? He's going to say I'm a 6 handicap. Inflation's 1.5%.
So let me ask you a question. Again, this goes back to why Donald Trump had to take some of his time on the next question to respond to Biden's answer. For instance, Charlottesville. That was debunked that was top news for the last 10 days that it came out that Donald Trump never said that about Charlottesville, that there's good people on both sides.
Okay, I have an idea.
But yet Joe Biden still used that. That was his talking bullet point last night, knowing it was a lie.
Okay, I have an idea. How about let's expand on this. Let's say we don't do the debate live, and after each question and answer, they get to fact check it. And if they prove that they fact check it and it's wrong, they don't get the response. It's silence. How about that? Fact check every answer, but don't play it.
But the answers have to be black and white, because if there's a little gray area, if CNN is the one judging it or their fact checker. I mean, this Charlottesville, for instance, it just came out yesterday, 5 days ago, that it was a lie, that he never said that. Okay, that was what, 5 years ago? But, so why did it take a fact checker 5 years?
But did you enjoy I hated that debate. I watched it for an hour and a half because it's my homework. I have to do it because I'm getting quizzed by you that night and the next day. But I just hated the fact that each guy was lying back and forth. You know what I really disliked? I think when they walked out, like in golf, we shake hands at the beginning of a match and we shake hands at the end. I did not like the fact that they walked out and they didn't shake each other's hand. If I was Donald Trump, I would have gripped his hand and squeezed it so hard and cracked his hand.
Let me ask you a question. The guy had you sitting in a courtroom for 6 weeks. He called you a thief, a liar, a rapist, a tax cheat, and now I'm going to say, and now let me shake his hand. No, I think it's beyond shaking hands.
He's a TV star. He's used to The Apprentice. He's used to that bullshit.
And he's great at that, and that's why he shines.
But I would have went up to him and given him a grip of a handshake.
And what happens if he fell? What happens if he gripped it so hard that Joe Biden fell? And then I would have had to give you $10,000 because technically he wouldn't have had a debate. I mean,
that would have been good for me.
Did you see Joe Biden have to hold his hand to get off the debate stage?
But I just don't think, that's the gentlemanly way to do it. And Trump made a comment, he did say something like this is childish, or what did he say?
It is, it's child's play. But listen, all I can tell you is as soon as the debate was over, the Bidens went to a Waffle House. Why? Why did he go to the Waffle House in Atlanta, Georgia? Because he thought, first of all, that he could try to meet the black crowd there and he can come in there. And what does the first thing Joe Biden says? How did I do? I did great, didn't I? Like, come on. He didn't do great. How did he think he did great? Who's lying to this guy?
Well, let's go to the next step. Okay, so now Van Jones and all these people said he's horrible. Mm-hmm. And he should, get out of the debate, get out of the presidency. How do they do that now? Who goes and sells that? Joe Biden's running the country, not Joe Biden. How do you get to this guy and say you need to resign? I mean, he's not going to resign. He's going to go
the super delegates could go up to him and say, you're not going to get the election. You're not going to get the votes needed. So either step down or be embarrassed.
Doesn't he own those votes?
No, he doesn't own them all yet. No.
Oh.
And he has super delegates. So they could go up to him and basically say, you're not going to get them. Do you want to embarrass yourself in Chicago and not get the nod? Then it goes into a whole different procedure and they have all the different votes. And then someone could come out with a new person. That'll all be discussed way beforehand. And I truly believe they're going to go up to Kamala Harris. They're going to basically tell Joe Biden he's going to probably step down. My guess is in 2 months before the convention,
And Kamala becomes the president?
But not on the ticket. She will be the president, the de facto president till January.
So he's going to resign his position as president. Why wouldn't he just stick it out to the end?
So that way they can make Kamala Harris president and make her happy. Otherwise, she could say, what about me? I want to be the candidate. Because she's not going to be the candidate.
They say tough boogies. You don't get it? You're vice president.
Otherwise, they lose. Because then you're going to hurt the black women's vote.
Yeah, I guess.
So they got to it's going to be Whitmer. Whitmer is going to be the candidate. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be her, and I wouldn't be surprised if Newsom is the vice president candidate for that. And they're going to get rid of these two.
Yeah, that gives them a little separation from California for 4
Separation.
years.
He's the vice president, and then
Grooms his way up.
Right. She delivers Michigan, tries to deliver Michigan. You know, if he loses Pennsylvania, it's over. So he's going to have to hold on.
So what you think of Josh Shapiro? Did you see him talking?
Yeah.
What you think? Governor of Pennsylvania.
Well, so far he's fixed the bridge. That's all he's done. His platform about charter schools he got shot down on. But does he make the right appearance? Does he make an appearance like Newsom? He makes an appearance like Newsom, and he has a state that isn't a piece of shit like California is right now.
Except Philadelphia.
Except for where he's from. But the rest of Pennsylvania is in better shape than California right now. So, yeah, he is an answer, but he's too young. Just like, by the way,
he could be a vice president.
So could Youngkin of Virginia.
Yeah. And
he could shock you. But I think Rubio is going to maybe be the pick. You said that earlier.
Yeah, he's really. I saw him over there at the last 2 weeks of this season, and he's really sharp on his feet.
And he can deliver Pennsylvania. A lot of tons of Latinos in Pennsylvania.
But what's he moved to Pennsylvania? He's got to move out of Florida because Trump's in Florida.
He moves to Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Got it.
You know who got off of the front page of the news because of the debate?
Who?
Our favorite guy who pulls the fire alarm.
Bowman.
I
Yeah.
mean, this guy,
he was unhinged.
Did he come unhinged at the very end?
Oh, my God, he became unhinged.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
But this is the problem. This is who's in Congress.
Who did he blame, though? When the dust settled, who did he blame?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Who did they blame?
What?
Who did they blame?
Who'd they blame?
The Jews.
Yeah, of course.
AIPAC.
Well, it was AOC, yeah. It was all
AIPAC.
the
They blamed this money, the dark money, this money.
Yeah, all the Jews put the money up to throw them out.
Come on.
Yeah, crazy, right? Well, Govy, what do you have? We have any other stuff? We really beat this debate to
I got
death.
my New York Knicks. I'm wearing New York
I
here.
see.
I'm going to see my close friend William Wesley this weekend. He's bringing Villanova back to New York. We got 4 now. 4 of the national champions.
I know you had 3.
And you know what is kind of funny? They showed you a video of Stephen A. Smith 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when Villanova was in the NCAA finals, and he looked at that team and said, they're not good enough to win the NCAA. And all of a sudden, they're good enough to win an NBA title. But they're all good kids.
Yeah, Stephen Smith's pretty sharp, though.
He is. And he's friendly with Leon Rose and World Wide West.
So where do the Knicks go? You think they have a title next year?
No, they need one more piece. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a play for a Karl Anthony Towns or something like that.
What happened to Joel Embiid in the Sixers? Are they keeping him?
I don't know. They're hard. What a horrible front office.
Oh, jeez. Don't say that. They're all,
Her friends. I like them. I like the owners. That's the front office. I like the owners. I don't like the front office.
Well, is Eldon Brand still there? He was the general manager.
He was horrible.
He was horrible.
They all, but, and So, and
But
then,
let's talk about the Panthers. You know, Florida has the Stanley Cup champions right here, the Panthers. It's unbelievable.
parade on Sunday by the ocean, A1A, right along the ocean.
Are you going to it?
No, I'm not going. But, they are my second favorite team. And, the last time I went to a parade was 1975 with the Flyers.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny, though, because it's 106 degrees here today, and we have the Stanley Cup parade on Sunday.
They took the cup into the ocean.
I mean, I don't even know of any indoor arenas around here.
No,
Where
there's
do they,
lots.
For the kids to play?
Yeah, there's lots of them
Where
now.
are
and
they?
just, up in
Must be
15
west.
minutes. No, they have like 8 of them indoors. They actually have more indoor rinks here than Philadelphia to get out of the heat in the summertime. It's a recreational thing. There's many more here than in the Philadelphia area.
Oh, Philadelphia, I remember as a kid, we used to do it in the winter, and besides it being 0 degrees outside, it was less than 0 inside. It was worse than jail.
Right.
I mean, it was horrible going to a game and sitting there and watching this stuff. But anyway, Govy, so another week rolls by. It's July 4th week. We're going to have a nice holiday. I'm headed back up north next week. And,
really?
Yeah.
We have a big Supreme Court decision coming up on Monday. Will he get, will Donald Trump have,
immunity.
Immunity.
I think a president, has to get partial immunity. I just don't know how they distinguish whether it's a presidential act or it's a crime. A crime is, rape or sticking a gun in somebody's face, but was January 6th a crime? Does he get immunity for that?
Well, he did come out and say that, listen, it was Nancy Pelosi had an opportunity she turned it down. That came out. They did, by the way, the Supreme Court ruled that 300 people were jailed. That looks like... they're
going to get out.
They're going to get out now. That was a big decision.
But what's really interesting, I was watching it before I came over here. All these 3 or 4 decisions today were not on party lines. I mean...
Right, Kendra Jackson.
Right.
She came to the person that can't tell you what a woman is.
Yeah,
she was able to.
She came to the Republican side,
right?
On not on the immunity, it was on the Fisher case, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy, but I think she's like defending the little guy in that. I can't believe the Republicans voted for it. But anyway, we'll see what happens Monday. I think he gets some partial immunity. He's starting to wear the cases down one by one, but I'm happy we have one more bet. July 11th, he's going to house arrest for 6 months.
That's like stealing. I can't even really do that. I can't even do
All right,
that.
let's lower it to $1,000. Let's
6 months. It would. How about?
Oh, I'm just saying house arrest. I'm not saying 6 months.
I'll tell you what. If they gave him house arrest for 48 hours, I would say that won't even happen.
All right, let's make that bet.
48 hours.
For $1,000.
Okay, $1,000. I say that he doesn't even get 48 hours of house arrest.
All right, 48 hours or more.
Right.
For $1,000.
Right, and I say he won't even get that.
He's got to get it. I mean, this Mershon's got to make him a felon. He's got to incarcerated felon. Use the word incarcerated in front of felon. I mean, they have to just bury this guy. I mean, that's what they want to do.
So you mean all these all the people that are illegal that are coming across the border killing people, Bragg just keeps letting out and everything?
Yeah, and they're going to put Trump away. I think they will. Okay. Anyway, folks, thanks for listening.
See you next week. Have a happy 4th of July.
4th of July. Take care.
See ya.